But our goal is really to reduce recidivism. So the best way to do that is follow the research, look at the evidence, and develop programs and partnerships that support that.
Parole and probation officers often find themselves taking on the role of referees. They're calling out violations, issuing penalties, and keeping the peace. But through research and observation, the idea of how a PO can continue to keep our community safe and best serve their clients is changing. According to Jackson County Program Manager Tira Hubbard, the role of a PO might be more effective at times as a coach rather than a ref. Enjoy watching Tira's explanation of this idea.
The role of a probation officer or parole officer is changing. We follow the evidence. So much like the medical profession and science, there is evidence behind the work that we do. What we're doing is we're following the evidence because our primary goal is to reduce recidivism, stop crimes from happening. That makes our communities better. It makes the individuals we're serving better. It improves their lives. It improves their families. But our goal is really to reduce recidivism. So the best way to do that is follow the research, look at the evidence, and develop programs and partnerships that support that. When I ran across this article, which talks about the changing identity of probation and the idea that historically we have been seen as referees. So in the world of probation, we need refs for the game to be played fair, to make sure that all the participants can be safe, and that we can get through the game, look at our losses, look at our wins, but we have coaches to help with that. We're responding to violations that put the community at risk. So if there's a lot of shoplifting, if there's a lot of trespassing, if there's new burglaries or stealing cars, we're responding to that to interrupt that behavior and to create safety for the community. All of those things are things that we do. Those are things that we're mandated by law to do. Those are the things that keep our community safe. But they're not effective. They can interrupt behavior, but when we follow the science and the evidence, that is not how we actually create behavior change. So some of the ways that we create behavior change is looking at criminogenic factors. Part of what POs do now as coaches is we have to look at what people think and believe and how they think and believe. So if your peers have a similar belief system and they also have some antisocial patterns, which is they have a hard time slowing themselves down, risk-taking, thrill-seeking, they're going to be encouraging you to take cars, right? So this is the mess of the criminogenic needs. So we train POs to coach around those three things: what people think, how they think, and who they hang out with. That's where we have to spend our energy. So we have adopted all kinds of different skills, interventions, and partnerships with community agencies to be able to help us coach. So we do a lot of education and interventions as probation officers now. We're teaching coping skills, we're teaching grounding skills, we're teaching behavior change, that thoughts and feelings lead to behaviors that have consequences, either positive consequences or negative consequences. So that's where we end up partnering with treatment, is we have a set of skills as a coach that's around criminality, right? That's where our expertise is. We are criminologists. We focus on that criminality, that reduction of recidivism. We don't want new crimes. We partner with all of you because you're experts in substance abuse. You're experts in mental health. You're experts in cognitive behavioral needs. You're experts in medical needs. So we partner with you to help us coach this person to be the best player so that we can have those successes. So just putting someone in jail without that follow-up, without the referrals to your agencies to address those other humanitarian needs, we're not as effective. So that's how we work together and how we need all of you. Cognitive behavioral interventions using a coaching model is how we can reduce recidivism by 30%. That saves our community and our state so much money. When we started applying these concepts, guess what happened? They all started reporting all the time. They started showing up on time for office visits, bringing their family and their friends and encouraging other clients to report. We started providing some humanitarian needs while we're addressing the criminogenic needs, because I never want to downplay humanitarian needs, right? That's not our job. That's not what we focus on, but it's what's important to people. So we started addressing some humanitarian needs by providing some hygiene supplies. For the women, we started getting donations and giving them some makeup. What happened when I started doing that? I started getting less and less after-hour calls from law enforcement about my women stealing. They stopped stealing because they didn't need to, because we were having conversations about stealing. We were having conversations about the thinking that drives the stealing and looking for other ways to meet those humanitarian needs. So the clients like it. They like being able to come in and talk about, I don't have to UA people all that much anymore, because they come in and they say, I used. I haven't even told my treatment provider yet. I wanted to tell you first, because this is what happened. And what do we do with that? Immediately, what led up to the use? What were you thinking? What were you feeling? Who were you with? What could we have done differently? How do we look at that game, that play in the game, and change up the dynamics so that you can run a different play next time? So they're reporting now, which means for us as a department, we have more people showing up, lots more people. So our caseloads are big.